Welcome to Revive Ministries Podcast. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. It's May 2026. It started in actually March of, the same month, May of 1949, when they started to promote wellness, mental health wellness nationwide in the United States. This year's theme is More Good Days Together. Encourages us to reflect on what good days look like, both in ourselves and in our communities. C.S. Lewis said this way: we are what we believe we are. Unfortunately, as we think about mental health, the value one feels experiencing mental health can be compromised. There's a lot of reason why we're having these awareness months, because the stigma is still present. The understanding is still at times lacking, and in essence, these things are to promote health, promote a better community, a better approach moving forward, reinforcing self-care habits, constantly reinforcing the way we way we see ourselves, those who are struggling, those who feel like a burden, despite the support, despite what's happening around them. A lot of times working in the field, I try to encourage self-advocacy, being unapologetic, to being kinder to oneself. Today, I have a returning guest. Her name is Weronika. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insight. We had some technical difficulties, but here we are. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I hope my words will help someone today. So I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you, Weronika. Disclaimer, at least in the States, I don't know how it is in Poland, but we have 988 suicide, crisis lifeline. I'm just encourage those, wherever you are in the world, find what resources, if you are in crisis, get help first, and then get the support around you. It doesn't mean it has to be all the time. And those, like I said, mental health has a lot of barriers in regards to getting help. The help sometimes is there, but a lot of times it's hard to get from A to B, feeling like whatever one's going through is something that maybe just temporary for now, and getting the help so we don't make a more permanent solution. So encouraging that community idea of embracing that, we may not understand, especially with caring for someone struggling around us, coworkers. We just want them to get the help they need. The judgment, all that stuff really just provides more barriers. But again, that's my 2 cents on 988, but also on the idea of getting help. Mental health is messy, so I don't feel like as if we're able to encourage those, we don't have to understand those, what they're going through, but we can encourage them to be safe, be supportive in that way. So Oliver Wendell Holmes said it this way as we kind of begin. I always say people say it better than me. A moment's insight is sometimes worth a life's experience. So I feel insight a lot of times what I see is not only lacking, but we don't even give ourselves time to think about why do we feel what we feel. Obviously, we don't have that always the time, but it especially with mental health, if we're always especially thinking about this month and how not just about awareness, but how does it fit for us? What do you see when you see this quote? What comes to mind when you read this quote?
I'm thinking about what you said, that we don't have time to stop in many cases and to think about why do we feel the way we feel. And this is something that I experience lately, that I just remind myself I have to pause for a moment in this busy world, and to kind of think about my emotions, think about how I feel, maybe how I feel that way, and I think it's something that we forget a lot about.
Yes.
days when we just, run from one place to another and do a million things every day. So it's really just worth stopping for a second and just kind of embrace the moment as well, and think about what's important and what should be the next step, how to also protect ourselves from burnout maybe, or some mental health struggles in the future. Yeah,
I think you mentioned burnout. It's especially nowadays, it's a big risk, especially those who are in the field of caretaking in some sort of setting.
that's right.
It's I just realized this. Well, I've been working in mental health for about over 5 years now, and I realize it's very different from the outside than inside. What I'm really trying to say is, a lot of times the work we do, it seems like it gets unnoticed, and it's not like you shouldn't. Obviously, I'm not in the field to get noticed, but it does burn out when you don't even have time to pause on things that may affect you throughout the day. So there's residual effects. So what I see in and out, and I feel just alone just thinking, oh, the good work, but despite myself, I try to really practice when I come home, my phone's off or away, hidden.
Oh, yes. I can definitely relate when working with kids. I do work with kids at school, and they have different difficulties and disorders, and their progress doesn't happen like overnight, so we don't really see it day-to-day life. In the long term, of course, we notice some differences, but that's a difficult field kind of to to avoid burnout at some point.
And a lot of times it's just simple things. At least for me, take time off when you can. Like especially like just. Sometimes on a hard couple months, I'll just take one day or so a month just to get myself balanced, and also just take care of myself a little bit better. And I'm speaking to those who are therapists, those who are mental health providers, those who care for the behavioral aspect. When you're talking about more like autism spectrum disorders, those people who are outpatient, inpatient, state hospital, we're talking about all those people, and it's a large group. And a lot of times what they do is very quiet. We see that like around mental health, we see all the wonderful stigma, like you break the stigma, and it's not anything, but we're sometimes in it and we don't, we're just like, we're trying to put out each fire as they come, and we try to maximize the best care. The old model is, and I think it's still prudent, is if a person has a sprained ankle, in essence, in mental health, I'm not going to give them a wheelchair. I have to get them to the level of care they need. But with mental health, it's very skewed. You have parents, you can imagine, they're like, oh, they need more care. They need this all the time. They need this level all the time. And unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world where resources just come out of nowhere. So like, I think when we talk about mental health, we have to be honest about the people working in the field. Those people, it's not a perfect system. I'll tell you that right now, especially me in the States, and do feel cognizant that it's a little bit unfair, especially for those out there. It's very hard for them to acclimate back to the community, be effective members of society. And then also it's just like kind of making client-centered the best you can, because there's societal pressures to just be better. I'm sure working with kids, parents are like, why they're not better yet? why isn't my son better yet? Like, or daughter. So the pressure is real, and I do
in many cases they want to fix the kid,
Yeah.
right? Yes.
And it's an interesting concept because we've been trying so hard, especially looking at the older times during the, Freud, you talk about Adler, and you talk about Jung and all them, and the founding fathers of modern day mental health, but they're trying to stray away from, the idea that, we're just treating these people so the family's less annoyed. Just trying to be honest. But like in the early 1900s, that's what it was. So we're trying to make it client-centered, but we still have residual. And I don't feel it's always malicious. I just think it's fear. Like, you cannot see mental health. You cannot see behavioral issues, spectrum. You just notice the outcome. You notice this is disruptive, or this is disruptive. So,
Exactly.
I want to pause for a minute. We've been talking about it, but I just want to give you an opportunity. What have you seen with those helping those suffering personally or professionally place more value in their mental health or just their health, their mental health as a priority? We always say mental health, or you usually say mental illness, but I'm trying to say health. Like everyone could use some good mental health. So everyone could use a pause, a slowdown. What have you seen help individuals, maybe your coworkers or just people you work with, help them kind of this ongoing push to be like, I'm going to take time for myself. I'm going to set boundaries for myself.
Mhm.
What have you seen help people do that?
Yeah, I'm when I'm thinking of this question, it reminds me of I don't know, you've mentioned a little about the fact that it looks quite similar in the United States, but when I'm thinking of Poland, there is still this stigma, and it's mental health is a taboo topic in those like smaller cities or towns, villages. Many people struggle with acknowledging that, for example, I suffer from depression or something. When it comes to, when we have a stomachache, headache, we just go to a doctor and nobody asks any questions. But when it comes to mental health, it's not so obvious in many families. Maybe for a lot of people, it's not so easy to just say I have to go to a therapist because I feel bad. So when I'm thinking of what might be helpful here is I'm thinking of giving yourself a priority. It's like maybe it's my experience from working at school or in some other places, but I think just acknowledging to yourself that you are important here, and if you provide help for anyone else, you also have to remember about yourself and the fact that you have to charge your batteries from time to time. And it's something that we forget a lot about, because I can say from my own experience that I love helping others, and I can notice very quickly when someone struggles with something, but when it comes to myself, it takes longer to see that, okay, maybe I need a day off, maybe I shouldn't take another responsibility this week, or I shouldn't do something because I'm very close to being almost exhausted at the end of the week, taking care of everything but myself. So I'm thinking of just saying to ourselves that we are important, and we also need to take care of ourselves, to be able to give this help to others and to be present for the other people. So
I think like you said, making ourselves a priority. I know not every work environment will be that understanding, but if you are like at least I've been lucky enough to feel the agency I work for, they try their best to encourage that. It's not, they encourage us to take off when we can, because it's hard work, and it's hard to, I feel it's, healthcare, when it comes to mental or medical, if it's only focuses on how to increase the scalability of its product, it ruins it, especially how it's hard to scale mental health or behavioral. How can you scale someone improving and all this stuff, and a nice clean thing for insurance companies? I know it's different in Europe, but it is a barrier a lot of times in the States. So when I think about this question, I think about, just like you said, put priorities to yourself. Maybe if you're a supervisor or you're overseeing people, in the inpatient or outpatient, make it a priority. Know how they're doing. Know how, like, what's important. Like, you'll be surprised how many people put things off. They're helping everyone except themselves.
Yep.
And sometimes if you just took the time to ask how they're doing, at least I could say from the recipient, it was very helpful. It's not always like, I was doing this podcast like month to month, and I just needed a pause. And honestly, it was inconvenient, but I had so much going on, and I did it, and I felt more prepared to be not so affected by it, and you have to understand what your boundaries are. Like, it's gonna be ongoing, is my point. At least personally. Professionally, I think the biggest thing is, and this is one thing that I always put whenever I'm working with someone to emphasize, is communication. You have to communicate with your whether your boss or whoever you're working for, or what their expectation is. And I'm not saying this as an either or thing. If the agency or the places you work for are resistant to it, it may be time to start looking elsewhere, so you can continue that while you're still working. The thing is, you're taking accountability, but we know it's not a perfect system. So I want all my clients that I work with to be great communicators, because no one's going to know what's going on with them without them telling.
Of course. Yeah.
Over here, I was thinking about what defines success. It kind of piggybacks, but I think the question is, it's depending on the individual, and that's what's unique about mental health. Success. What is success when it comes to? We don't hear a lot of success stories, in the sense we hear people avoid suicide or get saved, but we don't see anyone say, I was successful to manage and move past my mental health in a way that's balanced. And then a lot of times, unfortunately, in this world, we'll think about, so what are you doing? Materialize what job title, how many letters do you have behind your name, those kind of things. But I think that's the problem. Success is not scalable. A person's success, you working with kids, and the scalability, what's success for them. I think one thing that's not quantifiable is safety. A lot of times when it comes to, I would say, communication barriers or resistance to care, is I ask the question not so much of why you're not saying these things, why you're not asking for help. I'm like, when did closeness feel unsafe? When did telling someone or communicating something that's real about yourself felt unsafe? Because a lot of times that's usually, or can be, a barrier when it comes to these kind of things. So I say, what's defined success for me? Mental health, I think, is just the ability that whoever is suffering, it has the ability to communicate what that means and work towards it. It's ongoing. It's not like a specific destination. I feel that is what initially success in mental health is. The ability to self-advocate to a degree and grow towards something, whatever that is, grow to some sort of meaning, if that makes sense.
Yeah, when we talk about success, I just reminded myself that some time ago on Instagram, I've seen a very nice reel, and it was like like everyone say, for example, my son is a lawyer, my daughter is a teacher or is a business woman or something, but I say, for example, my son is happy. And that's what I consider, as to be a successful parent. It was something about parenthood or something like this. And I think it's true. Like you said, we materialize many this case, when we say, oh, he's a lawyer, wow, so he must be very successful and happy in his life. But in many cases, it doesn't really come together. But success is different for everyone, I think. And when it comes to people who struggles, I think it's also something a little bit different. For example, for one person, a success can be to get up from bed one day, and to be able to go to work, or again feel happy after a really long time that they can go to work, they can do things, and they have energy to do things. For the other person, like I don't know, I'm thinking of a mom with kids, maybe a success to, I had a chance to take some time like for myself during the day. I wasn't cleaning or when the kids were sleeping, but I actually, went outside, drank coffee in peace. So I'm thinking of those small successes over during the day, and that we mostly don't really notice. We have this maybe feeling that success has to be something very big, when you're successful, you have a great job, you earn a lot of money, you have maybe a very successful position at work or something. But success also can be the small thing, right, that I am only proud of, not everybody else, right? So
I like how you said, the mom said, my son's happy as being a success. And I think that should be included. Funny enough, a lot of times I see this in couples. The whole thing is like, they're like, oh, he's doing so great in his job, or she's doing so great in this. I'm like, do you guys like each other? Are you happy? Like, and sometimes it's a harder question to answer at times. So I do find that, we are sometimes a society that's obsessed about titles, obsessed about achievements, obsessed about these things. But what if I'm like, especially we saw there was COVID-19 and all that stuff, where a lot of times you get stuck around people you're around, normally around, but now you're not going to work, you're just there. Do you enjoy being around these people? It's weird to say, but when you're busy, it's very easy to get focused here and there and get through the whole. So I think the next quote will kind of lead to what I'm getting at. Is from John Green. He says, "There's hope even when your brain tells you there isn't." I don't know about you. I'll tell you, it's been a while since last episode, but I'm the type of person to go in a room, Veronica, and I can feel everything in that room. And it's a problem. It's a problem because that makes me more of an introvert, even though I can perform as an extrovert. The reason is I get exhausted. If I'm in the big group setting for a lot, my energy drains because I'm feeling a lot of things around me. It makes me, intuitive around people, but at the same time, it's harder to shut off. I mentioned this because sometimes I have a lot of insight, so I can know that, oh, this will help me later on, even though it's harder, or this is not going to last forever. Even though I know this insight, my brain says, you're a failure. You're doing, like, it's the opposite message. So I've actually noticed in real time feeling down, even though logically on both sides, logically I know that it will get better, but even though that it's not matching what, the brain is not matching what my feelings are matching. So I've learned to just be okay with that, like, incongruency for a little bit of time, because like usually the next morning I'm like, oh, I'm glad I did that, but I don't feel it throughout the whole day sometimes, especially when there's a change that I'm not quite used to or something, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Yes.
they say that was it 3 weeks you change you build a new habit, 90
Yes.
days you build a new lifestyle. But it's I find it's just, I think a lot of people feel that the brain and feelings are always congruent, and I'm telling you, at least for me, they're not. I could
they're
feel
not.
something. They're like completely opposite ideas, or I guess a perspective of whatever events around me. So I remember last year I got some reward at my work, and I remember my mind was saying, because I've been fighting to get an office or something because it was just inconvenient, whatever. When the person came in, my mind was defensive. Defensive. I had all my things, and then when they're like, "Oh," it was like, top management. They're like, "Hey, this is a reward we're gonna give you." It was just so confusing. My emotions were ready to go, and that thing. So it's it's an assumption to think that our minds and our feelings are going to be matching, and I feel like I've seen it multiple times, so I'm able to pause a little bit longer and let things ride out before reacting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to mental health, there's either too much emphasis on feelings or too little. Like, oh, you get over yourself, this is, drag yourself, or too much on feelings. Feelings are good indications what may be going on inside you, but it doesn't always is the best advice. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes it's hard to find this balance, like the middle of this. Yes.
But I think all this is to say, when it comes to mental health, when we think about remembering our names, those people who have struggled, the family members who are caregivers of people struggling with mental health, I think it's understandable why I feel that communication has to be it. You have to be also able to sit in your own self and just and kind of go through the emotions, go through what you're going through to gain more insight. But I'm going to pause right now because a lot of times it's been a while, but I want to give you an opportunity. It's been a while, Veronica. You could share what you feel comfortable with those who are listening about what's going on, and I don't know, anything you want to mention about mental health. The floor is yours.
So, like I've mentioned on the way, I work with kids, and also since last year, I've been trying to develop my own small business. And while I mention about this, because I want to also say that when it comes to mental health, in my case, it's not so easy to notice some things in me. Like I said, I can easily spot some differences in other people's behavior, but it's really difficult sometimes for me to pause and to kind of look what I do and maybe say, okay, maybe it's enough or maybe it's too much for you. Right now, I am in this kind of period in my life that I think I have a little bit too much going on, and I also kind of decided to seek for help, because I think I've lost this kind of ability to notice what I feel, and it's been really, really hard to kind of deal with this. I started working very like a lot of. I started working a lot, and maybe it was a little bit too much after some time. And now I know that it was kind of an escape from some things. I'm working on it, but yeah, it's today's topic. That's why it's really, really close for me, because when you work in the mental health field, or when you are an empath and you try to notice and you try to make everyone feel comfortable, safe, in my case it was also about a little bit forgetting about myself in all of this. So yeah, now I'm doing better, but there was some time that I actually forgot for a moment about myself, and I had to kind of reflect on what's important and what can wait, actually. Because I was very, very close to burnout, and this feeling of exhaustion at the end of the day after working like 12 hours. So I'm really, really happy to be here today, and also think about the fact that many other people struggle with something similar, and it's nice to speak about it and to admit sometimes that, okay, I'm not doing well right now, and maybe I might look for some help, because it's getting into the wrong direction. It was like this in my case. I had to really say stop, and I am on this way of kind of rebuilding how my work should look, and also what do I expect from my workplace and from the people around me, and what I want from my life. So yeah.
Well, I really thank you for sharing that. It's hard to, I can say, they used to say nurses make bad patients, doctors make the worst patients. So I could see with that. I could see that. I could see that. It's hard when you're a caregiver, when you're helping people in so many unique ways. It's humbling. It's humbling type of work. I would mention I do. I reach people who are usually the missing. The missing. I would say it that way, not in a derogatory way. Just that some of them just don't have no family, no support, nothing, and a lot of times they're just very limited resources, and it's just humbling to be able to reach them in that way. And we could get lost in that, because at the same time, as much as I want to help, I'm no good when I'm not healthy, when I'm not taking care of myself. So I may be persistent. I can be persistent. I can be all these other things, but at the end of the day, what am I saying to those who I'm serving, helping, if I can't even take time and take care of myself? I feel at the same time I'm trying to lead by example. So as much as I don't always like to go to my primary care, I have to go to my primary care. I have to go to my do these appointments, because I feel at the same time I feel my conversations with those who I'm helping go deeper, because it's not saying I have it all figured out. I do more of a horizontal Adler approach, where I'm trying to think about hey, more of the community aspect. What can we do to get through this? So you mentioned getting out of bed. Like in essence, sometimes some of the goals people I've worked with just need to break them down a little bit more to more achievable goals. And it doesn't mean, and I feel that sometimes it's hard for an individual to do because all they're hearing or all they're feeling is like what they're not. And I think in essence, as regards to burnout, sometimes I remember just having conversations with leadership, and not in the sense it was never the work was the issue. It was more about I knew I was feeling myself be affected, and I was just very transparent about it at times, and I just sometimes wanted them to know, especially the population I work with. Sometimes they come out of state hospital and all this stuff, so I want to be sure that I'm right so they could get the best level of care, but also so I could come home as a husband and be present. That's the one thing that it does linger if you're not careful. You're not working, but you're kind of are if you're thinking about it.
That's true.
Your mind's there. So it's like I'm a gamer, so I'll just be honest with you. I am a gamer. I have my own gaming channel. It's not to put my handle on there, but I do have that, and it's very cathartic for me. I do video editing, and now some people will be like, well, if you're busy at work, you should just rest. Like, when I come home, you have to de-escalate. Especially with a hard day, you have to do something. It'll be great if I was more active outside, but it's the summer now, and it's about to be Florida, and it's horrible outside. It is just nasty, humid. No one wants to be outside. It's kind of weird. But
so it's the other way around in Poland. Because
it's
just
I can imagine
to be outside and to finally do something outdoor.
I get excited during the fall and winter here because it's actually manageable, or if I go really early, but it is really humid, the heat here, so it is sometimes shocking for people. They go to Disney World and it's super hot and it's super sticky. But at the same time, I got to know, I guess, funny enough, I got to know myself a little bit, and I took some time to get to know myself. I think that's where I feel what helped me against the burnout was to recognize myself, that I'm a person with my own stuff, and I remember feeling for a long time going into this feel like an imposter. The whole imposter syndrome, because there was a time when I was on the other side of the desk. So you get what I'm saying. So in that regards, I see the advantages and disadvantages, and the disadvantages are just if I don't take care of myself well, because I could be pretty good at building rapport, being there for people. I think what also helps, we talked about today about what also helps with client-centered approach is this privacy. As much as they're annoying with all the ROIs, it does protect them. Honestly, as adults, it does protect them from people just, it's not a perfect system. That's why we need privacy, for a lot of these things. So people feeling like they could go to get help without, again, blasted out loud because of privacy and all that stuff does help them be more willing to get help. And that's the way I feel, actually, it's our combat to the stigma in a way, because if they did, obviously there's a lot of legal, but I'm saying on the personal side, the person knowing they could go and get care, see you or see me or whatever, and not feel like everyone's going to know that they saw. Like in regards how HIPAA works in the United States, I can't even tell them that I even saw anyone, even then, I can't, that kind of thing. So I think it is one thing. I don't think it's ever going to be perfect. I think the insight with the family members helping the individual or spouse or whoever is going to be the most important, not really the external things are just external, and usually, but really, what is disrupted is our internal, and how do we get that to a more manageable state? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great.
So, as we forgiveness, I think that's one thing I mentioned before, but it's not only to us, but to those who, I think it's really about us forgiving ourselves. This mental health thing, first, it's not scalable. There's a lot of pressures in life. There's this grind culture. We don't have sometimes the avenues to say, I don't want to go out because I'm depressed, I'm sad, I'm not motivated. For me, it's more like, I'm tired. If I go out with a bunch of people, I feel like I'll be more exhausted. I had a long week. I don't want to feel everyone's turmoil or whatever they're going through, if that makes sense. So it is an advantage, I'll be honest, being a sponge, but it's not also if I can't turn it off. You get what I'm saying? If I can't turn it off, I'm working on that right now, being able to turn that off more effectively, so I could not always
I love what you mentioned about forgiving ourselves. This is something that I'm learning right now, I think, because how do I forgive myself for taking a day off?
I know.
I mean, sometimes, this is something that is kind of on top for me right now. So definitely, I agree. It starts from us, we have to forgive ourselves for something, and then we can forgive others.
Yeah. And I guess for me, it's like I try to work on getting better at the things that to help with my work, which is the D word, documenting. The documentation, everyone hates it, but if honestly, it's I feel I can make so many excuses not to take off because I have documentation. So I think that's the one barrier, that if you get better at it and you understand it's always going to be ongoing, they're always going to change something in quality assurance or something. They're always going to say, oh, that was okay last year, but we're going to mark you this year. Or whatever. So it's ongoing, but if you don't look at personally, just say, well, it's it's them to oversee, because unfortunately people will take advantage if there's no oversight. So there is that. Just I learned the little tricks that help me to do my documentation a little bit better. Is it perfect? No, but I learned what works for me, and I think that's the whole thing. Not only just things personally, when you need to know when to pull back, when to take some time off, and also how to be more effective with your time, how to not be stuck per se, freeze, or that kind of thing. But also I feel like my time management skills have improved in the last few years, and that was because I was really wrestling with this. How can I do all this more effectively? Not looking at what Joe did or whoever my coworkers are, just looking what helps me doing what I'm required to do. And I would say it's improved. It's not perfect, but it's improved. I have a little system. I'm pretty intentional, but then I learned. If I have this openness to know that it's not going to be perfect, and some things I'll learn that I have to change or adjust to. So I feel that has made it lighter for me, because for me, the biggest barrier to taking more time off is, the documentation, all this other stuff. So I knew that was a realization. So if I want to take care of myself, I need to be good at, or learn to get better at this stuff, so I don't feel overwhelmed. So Rosalind Carter said it this way, and I think we're all in this bubble. There are 4 kinds of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need caregivers. So I feel like we're all in this, whether you work in the field or not. You have a family member, And I know we're mentioning this in mental health, but I think it's one of the things that really parallels with this. A lot of the struggles, overwhelmingness, it happens in mental health with the caregivers, the family, the people trying to support them. Not minimizing the people struggling, but I also want to recognize those people too. It is a hard thing because the verbiage has been confusing for years. Chemical imbalances and medication. I feel I've seen medication really work for people, but at the same time, you have to kind of make it the person who's struggling needs to really be a good communicator. What is not working? What side effects? What do I want? What is success? And that's what's scalable to everyone else. Don't be the mayor of nothing. Be kind of attuned to what is success. Well, if your success is that I want to go back to work, then go back to work. Like, let's provide steps to get there. Not, okay, I want to stay on this medication because I'm too afraid, or I want to stay in this treatment because I'm too afraid of what next. A good provider, a good clinician, all those, they will try to find steps to get there. It may take a while, but that's I feel that's more well-rounded care when it comes to these things. And I think that's the idea that hope is taken when in mental health. It's not just, I don't want to treat them bad. I don't want to say wrong things. It's also that they're not lost. They're just people like you, me, everyone else. They're just people that may need a little more care. It was years before they understood diabetes, and diabetes is still an issue for people getting care for it. They avoid it. They avoid going to their primary care, and it worsens their whole health. So, Natia Rock. I don't. If I butchered her name, I apologize. But she says things not to say to someone with mental illness. Ignore it. Forget about it. Fight it. You're better than this. You're overthinking. Those are dangerous words, because whenever someone says something like that, they're not participant of the whole thing. They're just saying, this is a lot. I need you to do this. But mental health is messy. It's not supposed to be something that, okay, I've changed my mindset today, it's all fixed. We know that. You may feel a little bit better one day because you gain some insight, but insight without action is nothing. So we have to practice what we're thinking, what has helped, what doesn't help.
Sometimes I think people say these words with this this thinking that it will help, right? But in many cases it's the opposite, because maybe the person who's struggling get this feeling that they just want to they don't want to be with them through this process, or admit that, oh my God, my friend, my spouse, or my family member struggles. But maybe they think it's a phase, oh, you're having a bad day or a month, but it's okay. It's I don't know, it's autumn, so the weather is bad. We often have something like this in Poland, that we say, oh, it's a winter depression or something. But we have less sun, of course. But I think when people say it, fight it, forget about it, in many cases they don't really see the person struggling. They want to just they want this person to feel better, but maybe it's not the best way, right? Because sometimes the best way is to just sit next to this person who struggles and just be with them, right?
Yeah.
Even if they lay in bed for the whole day, okay, so I will be there. I will watch maybe some like movie with them. I will read books with this person. I will prepare a dinner. I will just be there. It's not like fireworks. It's not. It won't be a great like eventful day, but sometimes it's the best you can do for this person, just to be there, because then this person who struggles feels that someone is there, right, and they are not alone. I think this is something what I've learned from my own experience, that sometimes I don't want anything from the person. I don't want you to do the shopping for me, or to prepare something for me, or to do part of my work. I just want you to sit there and maybe listen to me, or just spend the day with me, talk, right? So I don't want to hear like forget about it, because I won't forget about the fact that I feel bad because of something, right? So
yeah, I think it's it's very, I don't know, it's human, or I've seen this also when I was a leader in church, is this heroic, I want to be the big piece to this person's journey to their faith. What if you're just the ride to get to church? What if that's all you do? And I feel I'm not this, I just found it interesting when I was a church leader how much there was an emphasis that some people wanted to have this part, this story that they brought them. But I feel it's less helpful. I think perspective is very interesting. People especially people who are more affluent, they're like, oh, I'll just get them an apartment, they can have their own space and all this stuff, not including the individual themselves. They feel worse because they feel they're just getting pushed somewhere else. So no one could other people are like, oh, that's nice because you're getting a place, it's so hard to find a place. Yes, but I have this mental health thing that it seems like their answer is to push me somewhere else and no one listens to me. So it's complicated, but I think the illusion is mental health is supposed to be easy, and it's not. When was mental health ever supposed to be easy? It wasn't. I think there's a lot of catching up, and there's a lot of dividing, whether it's client-based or community-based, like in the sense of who is the focus for? If the person's individual, it's kind of like the old saying, if someone says, oh, my husband's a lawyer, that's all you know, all you keep talking about. Like my question is, are you actually happy? Or is he just a lawyer? There has to be other things about the individual than just the lawyer. Honestly, it's nice. I'm not trying to minimize some of these titles or respect those titles to get to that part, but at the end of the day, you're still Veronika, no matter what. I'm still Robert, no matter you don't want to lose that part of yourself. And I think that's one thing that's important when it comes to mental health. That's why I always say remembering our names, because that's the most impersonal thing about an individual is their names. They're given to when they're birthed. And as I feel there's a lot of wisdom to that mom, or that you mentioned, my son's successful because he's happy. I feel like that that simplifies everything. And at the same time, there's a lot of wisdom if you really think about it. You could do a lot of different things and be miserable. You could have a great job and a lot of stuff that you can't take anywhere else when you get older. When we're all liable to the second law of thermodynamics of entropy, so we're gonna pass away eventually. As much as that, not to be coy about it, but how about being present today? I think that in itself is important. And with people suffering with mental health, they want people to be present with them a lot of times. They want people to hear them. And I'll be honest, working in this field, I learned to just sit there with people, and because at the end of the day, even if I have the best idea, they have to be the ones who want to do it. They have to be the ones coming up with it, or it may work for a small bit, but for all the wrong reasons. They have to be the ones who want to be better. So anyway.
I definitely agree. I have sometimes when I work with kids during individual sessions, I try to prepare the best lesson for them with the best kind of resources they can use, some toys they can play with and learn something. But the best classes that I've had are those. Sometimes we do like a walking class. We go for a walk outside and we just walk and talk, and those are the most meaningful lessons because I can listen to the kid. Then I just get to know some things that I don't know, maybe overlooked when I had this classes full of things happening. I wanted to achieve some goals because, therapy, the process, I have to show the parents the progress. And those walking classes were the best so far. And it reminds me of what we've just talked about, that sometimes it's just being there, and asking, how are you today? What I can do for you, right? To make you feel better. Yeah.
And as we wrap up, I just know that I'm lucky enough that my field what I do, I'm able to go through their homes a lot of times. So I have my office and I do my stuff with them there, but I like to see them where they're at. Sometimes it's not optional because the person's homeless or the person's situation is not very. But at the same time, if I'm able to, I like to see them in their own environment. I like to I promote creativity. I find that creativity being one of the best coping skills. In essence, it allows them to feel heard. When a lot of times there's not an external person there to hear them. So I feel like a lot of times creativity can be that good part. That's from my experience. Veronika, as we wrap up, what would you like people to remember about this month? People who are facing mental health challenges, the caregivers, any little thing you want to mention or?
Maybe at first, mental health struggles are not a personal failure. We have to remember that. And second, I think we mostly forget about caregivers. And in many cases, they are just burning out in silence, trying to hold everything together. And I think we just need to stop asking them to be stronger and start offering like actual practical support. For example, if you know that someone is struggling, maybe just don't ask them how are they, but just show up, help with the daily chores, give them a break. So maybe this month we should look closely at the families around us. The person doing the rescuing usually needs like help too, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And a lot of times my way is I'm lucky enough with my company to have a company car so I can transport my clients. So I try to lift the burden from the family members that way. And also, it's just like kind of walking. I kind of feel like I feel like I could be a taxi driver in 1920s. I drive anywhere. So like I feel like they open up. They're kind of it's Florida traffic. So it's like we're just. I feel like they feel calmer, and also it gives a little reprieve from the family members, because I think of the big picture. I think people have to look at it, not just the individual suffering, not to minimize those, but it's a whole unit. They also, the people who are suffering, wants the family a lot of times to be a part of it. But sometimes because of burnout, they may have a friction. We're trying to foster that doesn't go away. There's no like separate. I don't want, my job is not to break up families. my job is to kind of help them heal. And a lot of times in a sense, is to lift some of that basic burden. Like you said, I love what you said, just something simple, even if it's just transportation or just being present, or even sometimes I'll offer a person is struggling, the mom can't bring him, but we still had stuff to talk about. I'll do a telehealth over just to give them a little reprieve in those special circumstances. But at the same time, I always prefer face to face. I always prefer, when we're in person. But I hope people who are listening understand, like, they saw a lot of different sides. The people who are working in the field, people emphasizing the family members, also obviously emphasizing those who are struggling. But it takes everyone. It takes everyone. And I think success is going to be, it always has to be led by the individual himself, him or herself. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on, sharing your insight. And for those who are watching, listening, thank you for your patience. There was a couple months I needed to take care of myself, but I think right now I'll keep you guys informed through the website. I do encourage you to check out the website or the different platforms on YouTube. But I think right now, feasibly, I'm trying to do 1 or 2 episodes a month, and I'll let you know of any other updates. This is goodbye from Revive Ministries Podcast, leaving this last quote from Ernest Hemingway. It says, "We are all broken. That's how the light gets in."